All right. Good afternoon. Welcome back. Or I guess good morning. It's still morning, isn't it?
Still morning.
All right. Well, good morning. Welcome back to the Gal for Kids show. We are finally in November. I cannot believe how fast this year has gone.
So fast.
But since we saw you last, I know we talked a lot at the last show about the upcoming training that we had that was scheduled. And we have successfully lived through this training to see another day and to do another show. And I would say, how many new people came along? Did we think about 12 or 13?
Yeah. Yes.
So from our last training then, we were successful in gathering about 12 or 13 of you from the community to come join us in doing this work for kids here in Hamilton County. Mm-hmm. So my name is Shelley Haymaker, and I'm the director of the Hamilton County Gal Casa program. To my right is Miss Cassandra Nelson. She's one of our program attorneys that works with us in the program to represent you guys as the volunteers. And to my left is Miss Adele Wood. I call her Addie. I only call her Adele when I'm growling at her. Actually, daily. She's also one of our program attorneys that would be representing you in court and you on your cases if you decide that you want to join us and become a volunteer. So, and before I forget, because I tend to forget this, but we do want to thank our sponsors that graciously have us every month, and that would be Mr. Wofford. Mr. Jim Wofford, who sits behind the scenes and does all this taping for us and wonders if we're going to show up each month or not. Logan Street Signs and Banners and Noblesville Trophies. So to meet any of those needs, please come and see them. And so on to the theme of today's show. We decided today we were going to do a frequently asked questions show. So we can't take callers, because we have no way for you to call in. So instead of doing callers,
showing up.
Huh?
And we don't know when you're showing up.
And nobody ever knows when we're actually going to be here. So, although it's Tuesday, we're doing pretty good on Tuesdays.
Got the right day.
Yes, we're good. So our frequently asked questions. We're going to do that. That's going to be the theme of our show, and hopefully by giving you all these frequently asked questions are probably questions that you also have, and hopefully we can address those and answer those. And then you can make a decision on what you want to do as far as coming and joining our group, I guess, our program here in Hamilton County. So the first frequently asked question, and I'll put the girls on the spot too as we go through this, because I'll make them answer some of them too. But what is a gal or casa? Which one of you want to jump right in?
I got this one.
You got this?
I got this one. So a gal is a guardian ad litem, and that's what we typically refer to our people as gals, hence the Gal for Kids show.
Gal for Kids, Gal for Kids.
Right, there you go. Or casa, which is court-appointed special advocate. And in essence, what you are is you are the voice of the child in court, advocating for what's in the best interest of the child. And you act as the eyes and ears for the judge as to what is going on in that child's life.
So the judge doesn't usually get to leave the courthouse for a case. The judge isn't going to go see the child and see where the child actually lays their head at night. The judge doesn't get to go out and see the child in their school. He doesn't get to go out and witness how supervised visits are going, what it's like for the child to see their parents after maybe they haven't seen their parents for a while. So the judge doesn't get to do that. The judge sits in the courthouse and only gets information that is given to him. And I say him because the actual judge that hears most of these cases is actually Magistrate Reitz. He hears the cases on behalf of Circuit Court and Superior One Court. So when I say he, I'm not trying to be rude, but that's just what we deal with here in Hamilton County. And so the judge doesn't get the information unless it's brought into him. So part of our job as a gal casa is to go get that information and get that to him. So that kind of leads us into the next question. The next frequently asked question is, what all do I have to do as a gal casa?
So as a guardian ad litem, you will have to conduct an investigation. That might be going to a house. As Shelley mentioned, it might include, talking to family members, to foster parents, to any collateral sources of the family, a teacher, a neighbor, different kinds of people, and you will make a report to the court and include recommendations about what you believe to be in the child's best interest.
Well, how do I make that report to the court? What do you mean?
You will type up a
type
report.
Yes, you have to know how to do this.
Microsoft Word or some other type of software where you can edit, and then you will send it to us as your attorneys. We will help edit it for you, and we will be the ones to file it with the court for you.
Okay, so when we're talking about gathering all this information and giving a report to the court, we don't mean that we just walk into court and we verbalize everything that we've done or everybody that we've spoken to. That means that we actually put that information into a concise, well-written, proofread report that gives the judge facts. It doesn't give the judge a bunch of your opinions. It gives the judge facts as to what we've gathered through the investigation. And by facts, I mean it's what people have given us. It's what people have told us. Maybe they've told something that's not correct, but those were the facts that were given to us. And if the facts aren't correct, then that kind of comes out in court and things like that. But the report contains that information. That way the judge can read your report before court happens, and the judge is aware of what your standpoint is and what your viewpoint is and what you think would be in the children's best interest for the case that you're working on.
And if you don't know what to put in your report or what to do to create a report, we do have a template, and we'll help you walk you through that process in our training.
Yes, which leads us to the next. This is so good, guys. You were just like, go with the plan. So the next frequently asked question, how will I know what to do as a gal casa? Which Cassandra's talking about, the training. We talked a lot last month about the training. And so what does that mean, the training?
The training is it 32 hours?
When they do court observation, it melds into 32 hours, yes.
Okay, over 3 weeks. We do them in the evenings, and we, in essence, walk you through the beginning, getting a case, who's all involved. We take field trips to the juvenile detention center, meet with probation officer,
the judge.
We go to the courthouse, yes, and get to meet the judge and take a tour, meet the prosecutor, and then DCS comes. So we try to expose you to everything that could be happening or going on in a case in your training. So like we said, it is long, but it's long for a reason, because there's lots that goes into it, and you need to understand this is a commitment. And once you take a case, that we expect that as long as you can, you take it through the end. And again, you learn all that in training, why that's so important.
Right. And so to find out more about exactly what the training entails, and I was pretty detailed. If you go watch October's show, I just sat here and simply that was the theme of that show. It's just I wanted to walk you through our upcoming training so that you would know what we were doing, what nights we were doing it, and what all it entailed. So for details on that, you can go watch the October show. But I do want to say a couple things. The training is what I like to call cumulative. That means when we post the training dates, because my lovely, this lovely attorney does a lot of my social media and website updates for me, since I'm older and I'm lost and all of that. So when she posts these things on Facebook or our website and she gives you the dates, these dates are not dates that you get to choose from, that I'll be there, well, I can be there on this night and this night. These are dates that you need to be there every single night for. A lot of people don't understand that, and so that tends to be a frequently asked question. Can I just sign up for the last 2 nights of that 3rd week period? No. You need to sign up for all of the training. The training is 30 plus hours long. It's not 3.5 hours long, which would be one of the nights. Okay, so that's key, because the training builds. I mean, you come into training and you have no idea what it is we do, why we do it, why it's important that we do what we do. You have no idea what the rules are, because there are rules. You'll learn those rules as you go through training. You have no idea who the players are, how all of this works, and how the court system works. So every night we're building on, and because we can't throw it all at you at once because there's so much. So it does not work for you to think that you can come to 1 or 2 nights. It is where you need to make the commitment to come to every single night of training. So once you've come to every single night of training, and then there's a few other things that you have to do. There's criminal background checks that you have to fill out, and applications that you have to complete, and then you have to do a personal interview with me as the director. So once you do all of that and you are assigned a case, one of our frequently asked questions is, how much time does this take doing a case?
That's the $1 million question. I wish that we knew.
No. So if we had a good answer, then we would probably not be here because we would have won the lottery by now. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
But in general.
Well, in general, when you first get a case, that's when the most time is going to, it's going to take the most time because you're getting to learn all the players and go see all the kids if there's more than one and if there's more than one placement.
Especially when you get your first case ever. It's going to take even more time because now you're coming out of training and you're trying to put all together what all that training meant, and you have your case. So just consider that your first round is going to take longer than maybe your third or fourth case that you might take down the road.
Right. So, I guess if you take into consideration driving to and from places, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours a week until we come up to our first hearing where you have to file your report. That may be a lot. It might be not enough. I don't know. I really don't know.
Some cases probably take less than that. Some probably take more than that. I think it just...
Well, in training, we do a round table on usually the very last night of training. What we do is we ask our volunteers that have already gone through training and have already worked cases, and we ask them to come in and talk to these new volunteers that are sitting there wide-eyed and not knowing quite what they're going to do. So when we have those people come in and this question is asked, the number of hours ranges significantly depending on what type of case they've gotten, or depending on how, if there's an emergency going on and they have to get information right away. But I know one of our volunteers came in and she said she probably spent close to 20 or more hours on a case just over the past week and a half because she had just gotten it. Right. And then we have other volunteers that come in and say, I might spend 10 hours at the get-go when I first get a case. I might spend 10 hours that first week or two, and then I might spend 2 or 3 hours after that. So it really does depend. That's why we giggle at the question. Is it a 40-hour work week? No. Is it something that cannot be done if you're working full-time? No, it can be done if you're working full-time, because lots of our volunteers work full-time or own their own businesses. They are not. We love our retired volunteers, but we don't have all retired volunteers. So we do have people that work. The volunteer that was talking about how many hours, she works a full-time job and a part-time job and still finds time to put in this commitment. So wish we could give you a better answer on that, but we can just kind of give you what our volunteers have told us and what we've experienced ourselves. So then, kind of going along with that, how many cases does a gal casa work on? So how many cases at a time?
Well, when you first come out of training, 1. You're like, no, just one. We'll just see how you do with that one.
Yeah, we'll see how you react to everybody and how you actually do the work, and if you're committed to truly do the work, if you think it's just way too much work, if you think that this isn't really for you. We learn a lot during this first case.
Yes, we do. So then from that point, if we give you a new case, I think we have volunteers that have 2 or 3. A couple have 5 or 6, which there are very few that have that many, and they've been gals for lots of years. But I'd say a lot. Maybe have a couple.
I'd say 1 to 2.
1 to 2 is probably.
Some people hold fast to the rule of they only want to work 1 case at a time. And that is fine, because these cases, unfortunately, can go for months at a time. So it isn't like we get involved in a case and within a month or two the case is over and we're done and we're moving to the next case. The types of cases that we work on are abuse and neglect cases. So those, you can only imagine if there's a family that is going through the system and they've had to deal with abuse and neglect, that they have a lot of issues that they have to work out, and they may have a lot of services that they have to get. And because of that, these cases don't just disappear a month or two. It takes several months.
Right.
You know, it could take over a year for your particular case to actually come to an end, to come to a conclusion. So some people only work their one case that entire time, and when that case is over, then they let me know that my case is done and I'll take another case. Some people work more than one case because when they take a case like that, and because it goes on for such a long period of time, there's not as much work for them to do once it's going. So they don't have as much investigation work to do. They don't have as much, they just have to go out and make sure that they're talking to the child at least once a month. They have to, keep in touch with the parents if the parents are keeping in touch with them. So they find that they have lots more time on their hands and they say, I'll take another case because this case is really slow and I'll take another one. So we really leave it up to you. You're a volunteer, so we can't force you to do much of anything. We can threaten you a few times, but we can't force you. So it's really up to you how many cases you take. Addie's right that we do have a few of our volunteers that have been in this, doing it with us for quite a while, and they may have 5 or 6 cases that they're working on at a time. So, but that's their preference, and a lot of one of them's not retired. He still works.
Right.
The other one is retired. So it's just their preferences on how they want to do it. So, you have anything else to add to that? Are we good?
No, sounds about right.
All right. Well, so speaking of all these volunteers, what kind of people serve as a gal casa? Like who do we deal with?
We have police officers, nurses, retirees. We have teachers. We have an old principal. We have.
Well, don't call
An
him
old principal.
No,
I
take
mean, he was
offense. Sorry,
retired.
Joe.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joe. You're not old. You're
Not
just
old.
retired.
I meant that you're
said old.
retired principal. You used to be a principal.
She's young. Just forgive her. Not what I meant.
Varying different professionals come in and do this. I mean, even like stay-at-home moms, paralegals. I mean, from all across the board.
Yes, we have appraisers.
Yes.
We have retired military.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lady that owns her own insurance company.
Yes.
We have, I was trying to think of all of our different people.
Lady who owns a title company.
Lady owns a title company. So it's a wide, what we're trying to say is it's a wide variety.
As long as you're over 21.
You have to be over 21.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't be a baby. I mean, Casi barely makes it.
Barely makes it.
So yes, you do have to be over 21. If you're under 21, you can still go through our training, and you can still, we still may be able to find a place for you to help us in the office and volunteer. But you can't take a case, you can't work a case until you're at least 21. And you do have to pass a background check. You have to not have had any history of criminal records that involve crimes against children in your background. That seems to be pretty common sense to me. You cannot have substantiated child abuse allegations through the Department of Child Services. Again, we're working with kids, so that's pretty common sense stuff. So I think we have a variety of age too. So we have in the 20s, 30s, all the way up to 60s, 70s, I think.
Yeah.
And then we have a wide variety of retired versus working and all the different professions. So you don't have to have any special degree. You don't have to be a lawyer. That's the beauty of what we are. You are a volunteer from the community that knows your community and that wants to come in and assist a child on behalf of that. So, and seeing as how I mentioned this whole criminal record thing, one of our frequently asked questions is, what if I have a criminal record? Would you like for me to field that one?
Yes. Sure. Yes.
Would you feel
Because
better
I don't know.
if I did that
that's
one?
more of your area.
Well, all right. So some volunteers come to me and they have had some sort of criminal record in their history. And maybe they're in their 40s now and their criminal record was clear back in their 20s. If you've had some sort of a minor criminal history, not anything major, if you've had a major felony criminal history, our program just probably isn't the best program to come and volunteer for, because I don't know that you want to open that door up to possible scrutiny from your past. And I hate to say that, but that's the reality of what we do, because we're working in the court system and we're working with kids. Obviously, like I said, if you have a criminal history that involves some sort of a crime that a child is involved in, then yeah, I mean, our program obviously wouldn't be the right fit for you to go volunteer. There are lots of other programs, just not this particular one, since we deal with kids. But I have had volunteers that have had minor criminal history, and we've worked through that. We've talked. We made sure that I was on board with that and that I knew what it was. You have to disclose that, of course, plus your criminal history background check that we do will bring that out. But it's not necessarily, depending on what it is, it's not necessarily a barrier to you being able to come into our program. Okay?
Well, thank you. See, we learn something every day.
You're welcome. Okay, so what types of cases do we see most? Because that's always, I frequently ask question.
Well, I think right now, drugs. Drugs are a huge problem. And yes, in Hamilton County, we have a drug problem. It is not good. Heroin, so I would say that's probably the most that we're seeing is drugs.
We've had a huge increase too. I mean, I know DCS, Department of Child Services, as a whole, over the last couple of years has seen a huge increase, and I can't tell you the exact statistics right now as I sit here, but in the number of cases that are filed and are worked. And so because the legislature back in 2005 said that every time that there's an abuse and neglect case that's opened in our court system, we want a casa also on that case. So when DCS's numbers go up, our numbers go up.
Right.
So because we have to be on all of those same kinds of cases. And so over the last couple of years, the numbers have continued to rise. I know when I spoke with our judge, who hears the majority of these cases, his comment was that I have terminated more parental rights over the past year because of drugs than I've ever seen the entire time that he's been on the bench. So I would say that it's a huge issue. It's impacting our children. We are only seeing a touch, in my opinion, of how it's impacting these children, because when children are born with drugs in their systems, and children are born with parents that cannot keep them safe, and children are born when they lose their parents due to overdoses, and children are having to go with other people within the family or into a foster family, it's going to have long-lasting impact on this child that we probably, we're not going to see that for several years down the road.
Right.
So, okay, so we didn't get through not even half of our frequently asked questions, so you'll have to come back. You'll have to come back and join us for yet another show, another segment of frequently asked questions, but we hope at least that gives you an idea, and I hope that we answered at least some of the questions that you might have, and maybe by answering those questions you might say, you know what, I can do this after all. So I think our last frequently asked question would be, when is the next GAL training? Because we just finished up our GAL training literally just last week, we will not offer another training until early next year, so early 2017. However, if you want to get on our sign-up sheet so that you're notified of when that training is, then you can send us an email or you can call our office and you can ask to be put on the sheet so we can notify you. All right, so on behalf of the Gal for Kids and the Hamilton County Gal Casa program, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next month.
Bye.
Bye.